Don't you miss the sweet slumbers you fell into as a child? Neend app helps you recreate that magic with well-crafted exclusive sleep stories, guided meditations, and calming music to lull you into the restful sleep you need. Our offerings are all ad-free, approved by experts, and have helped more than 90% of our listeners fall asleep as quick as within 15 minutes after tuning into our app. Download the app for more sleeping aids and subscribe to the channel.
The world of Ramayana is a beautiful mythological journey that tells us stories about the gods. In this story, we look at one of our favorite stories of Ram and Sita, told from Sita's point of view. Before we begin, make yourself comfortable in your favorite position for falling asleep. Switch off all lights and close your eyes. Take a slow, full, deep breath and let go. It's time to set the world aside. Let go of your day and begin your gentle transition into sleep. Take another slow, full, deep breath and breathe out any tension in your body. All there is to do now is relax, rest, and be restored. You're in bed now, feeling your body relax from the day. Beginning with your feet, allow all the tension to go out of them now. They've worked hard for you all day and deserve a rest. And so, the relaxation in your feet begins to find its way into your ankles, your calves, and your knees. And now, relax your upper legs, your hips, and feel this relaxation flowing up into your abdomen and lower back and your upper back and chest. Feel this peaceful, relaxing feeling flowing down your arms into your hands and out your fingertips. And then up into your neck, head, and face. Now your whole body is perfectly calm, relaxed, and ready for sleep. Soon you'll be sound asleep, off on a peaceful journey into dreamland that will carry you all the way through until morning. So as you continue to listen to the story, begin to follow your breath. Relax your entire body and settle in for a wonderful sleep experience. I let out a warm sigh as I watch the sunrise on Ayodhya from the palace windows. The red skies illuminate the ground below with an intense glow, and slowly the city begins to come together as the day begins. The silence from the night is now replaced by the pulling of carts and the busy townsfolk, all preparing for a busy day ahead. The view from the palace window, albeit the same every day, still held with it some magical feeling that I could not quite put my finger on. Perhaps it is the rivers that flow throughout the city, making it prosperous and beautiful. Or maybe it is the apsaras that hide in the cloud, whispering new secrets every day, that made waking up to the same scene a unique experience. Morning, my love. Ram's sleepy voice echoes off the walls as he jumps out of bed, holding me in a warm embrace. It is a beautiful day, is it not? I tell him as he stretches his arms, preparing for a new day. You say that every day, he says, smiling. Well, Every day is beautiful, I reply, shrugging innocently. With you, yes, he says cheesily before bidding me goodbye to work on his chores. The palace in the morning is a magical, warm experience, for the sun permeates through the windows and reflects across the marble statues, causing light to dance around on the cold floor. Although the palace stands proud and strong, hidden within its pillars are secrets and whispers of the dark. The walls talk, and I cannot help but sense something amiss. But on this beautiful day, I do not wish to concern myself with these matters. However, there's no denying that there's a nagging feeling that sends a chill down my spine. Sure enough, I was right. Ram, who was just about to leave to the forest, came running to me with a look of agony on his handsome face. "We must leave now," he says uneasily, packing his things. I did not question him, for part of me already knew what was happening. The stepmother always hated Ram for his strength and wits, and I almost knew this day was coming. I joined him in packing and quickly hopped on a carriage, bidding goodbye to the familiar faces of the people of Ayodhya. The palace's old interiors still left a warm feeling inside, for despite how things had gone down, part of me is still grateful for the time I spent here. Slowly, as the horses catch up speed, the palace starts to fade as if it were a distant dream. I look around and watch people's faces as they stand in crowds waving goodbye to Ram and me as we disappear into the forest. The joyous sounds of the townsfolk is replaced with a strong silence. Ram never spoke a word, and neither did I. The only sound was that of the horses' footsteps galloping as fast as they could across the rough ground, and the sun was starting to set. The nights were cold, and the silence began to creep on me. So I slowly closed my eyes, letting myself be swayed by the wind, and fell asleep. When I awoke, I found myself warmly wrapped up in a blanket, in a warm, cozy bed. I rubbed my eyes, trying to make sense of my surroundings, and realized I was in a palace. Ram, I call out gently, stretching my arms as I get out of bed. Yes, he replies from behind the blinds. He looked fresher than he was yesterday, and the look of agony on his face was replaced with a strong golden glow. "Where are we?" I asked groggily as he sits down beside me. "Lakshman's place in the forest," he sighs. "Our stepmother was worried I would steal the throne from her dearest son, so we have been banished to live here." I quickly grab his hand, giving him a look of assurance. If anybody deserved to be king, it is you, I say, meaning every word, for Ram is certainly talented in every aspect. "It's all right, though," I continue, giving him a reassuring smile. "Whatever happens in the end, we will be all right." He nodded in reply, and soon we began a new chapter of our lives together. Life in the forest is not as bad as it may sound. Sure, it lacked the hustle and bustle of the streets of Ayodhya, with its many stories hidden in the depths of the city. Needless to say, the forest was a new story altogether. It was difficult at first to get used to the silence and the lack of people and children looming around the streets, or the young girls who would braid flower garlands into my hair while I sat down telling them the many stories of Ram and life in the palace. However, soon I found myself liking the forest and its many oddities. Occasionally, I'd run into some of the townsfolk who were kind and would often invite me to their homes and show me some of the local crafts. Today, it is particularly sunny, and Ram is out on one of his many quests. I decided to go out for a bit. For a day as good as this should never be spent lodged indoors. I quickly dressed up and made my way to the forest. I could hear the birds singing and their strong voices echoed across the thick foliage of the woods. I gently push my way across the trees and sit down on a rock, staring at the cloudless sky, feeling the sun's rays on my face. Apart from the birds, the forest is oddly silent, and this time of the day, so I close my eyes to relax for a bit, basking under the sun. Sita! Sita! I hear Ram call out, excited that he had returned from his trip. I quickly called him to join me. We sat down together, drawing shapes on the ground. We sat down in silence, enjoying the warmth of the forest until we were interrupted by a soft growling sound from one of the bushes. Worried that a wild animal was trying to attack, Ram jumped up while I quickly picked up a large stick in fear. The whining grew louder, and a figure emerged from behind the bushes. The creature was a small, beautiful deer that appeared to be wounded to our surprise. The sight of the wounded deer moved me, and I quickly sat down beside the creature and held it in my arms. Ram, I call out, we have to carry this deer home and help heal it, I say gently. Ram nodded in agreement and bent down to pick up the deer, who in response let out a whine and jumped out of my arms and disappeared behind the bushes. The thought of the wounded deer whimpering all alone in the forest worried me, for there was no telling who hid in the shadows. Worried for its life, I turned to Ram in hopes that he could find the beautiful fawn to help her. Sita, I can't help but sense that it is a trap, Ram says, arching his brows, looking skeptical. Trap or not, when a creature is in pain, we must help her, I say in reply. Nature is our home, and animals are friends. We must save her, I continue. Ram nods in response and beckons me to return home, for the forest is starting to get dark. I quickly bid him goodbye, sending a prayer to the gods that the deer is well, and continue walking in the opposite direction. The forest in the evening is a much different experience, for it is when the insects come to life, chirping throughout the night. I stopped under a large oak tree for a minute, listening to the crickets, when I noticed an odd old man in a corner. He appeared to be in immense pain, so I quickly ran to him. Are you all right? I asked him gently, and he turned to look at me. My leg is stuck in the vine, he says. I quickly stretch out my arm to help him, which he takes and slowly stands up. I tried to grab my hand back, but he refuses to let go, and I was starting to get afraid. Slowly, the old man began to fume up, and his wrinkly, friendly face started to increase in number. Soon, he morphed into his true form, a demon with 10 heads. He called a chariot, grabbed me, and took me with him. I was unaware of where we were heading, but I told myself that it would be all right. Soon I fell asleep, trapped in a chariot with the demon I recognized to be Ravan, the demon king. I awoke a couple of hours later and found myself locked inside a room with a large balcony. I knocked on the door, screaming for help, when the vicious voice of Ravan interrupted me. "Sita," he said in his deep voice, "I want to marry you, and I refuse to let you out until you agree," he said. "Never," I screamed. I could hear his footsteps slowly fade as he walked away. I sat in silence, muttering prayers to the gods in hopes that they would save me. Deep down, I knew that I would be all right, for Ram would come to save me. I sat on the balcony for a bit, watching the birds fly in the sky, and wished that someday I would be free. Ravan would knock on my door every single day, demanding the same thing. He wished to marry me, but I refused every single time, for my heart belonged to Ram, and I would never betray him. Days became months, and although life in the room tired me, it never broke down my spirit. And I knew that someday I would leave this terrible, lonely place. I was lying down on the bed, staring at the ceiling, when the hoots of a monkey caught my attention. I quickly jumped out of bed and ran outside to the balcony where the familiar face of Hanuman greeted me. I spent months traversing across oceans in the hopes that I would find you, he tells me. I let out a cry of joy and tell him how glad I was that I finally had a chance at freedom after what felt like an eternity. I will go back and tell Ram that you are all right and he will come and save you, he assures me. Oh, and Ram never forgot about you, he added, to which I nodded in reply. I know, I tell. I always knew, I whispered as Hanuman quickly jumped off the balcony and disappeared into the trees. Sure enough, Hanuman told Ram everything, for soon Ravan's palace was flooded with monkeys and war had begun. I did not leave my room yet, but I could see everything that was happening from the large balcony. The monkeys and the demons battled for 10 days. It was a long, painful battle, and watching it made my heart sink. I could see that the battle was entering the end game, for Ravan and Ram was now caught up in a 1-to-1 duel. I wished to scream for Ram, assuring him that he would win. But my feeble voice would never reach him, for he was far off in a corner. Ravan's many faces and hands were all set for battle, and things were appearing to be in his favor. For Ram was tired and could not keep up with Ravan's blows. I was starting to get worried, but I was still sure of Ram's victory. I silently prayed to the gods and wished that all would be in our favor. As if in reply, the heavens opened and a golden arrow appeared from behind the clouds, which Ram grabbed and threw the arrow right in the middle of Ravan's body. Sure enough, the strike was strong enough to take out the demon king, for he fell flat on the ground, signaling the end of the battle. The demons began to disappear in large numbers, and the monkeys danced to the sounds of victory. Soon, the doors to the room I was imprisoned in for months opened, and finally I was free. I quickly ran to Ram, who grabbed me in an embrace, and together we sat down on a chariot and made our way back home.